they were trying to get Russell Peters, but they couldn't afford him, so they got me instead. No, so for those of you who were wondering, I am not Nepali. My dad is from India and my mom is from Japan, believe it or not. So I get my sushi from 7-Eleven. In fact, my mom is so Japanese that when I was born, I actually came out cordless. Now, this might shock you, but before I was a comedian, I was a computer guy. I worked at Intel in California, and when I applied for the job at Intel, they said, "You're Indian and Japanese? You don't even have to interview. You can be vice president." No, I wasn't vice president, but I actually did work for Intel. It was my job to travel the world with the chairman and co-founder and the executives, or should I say executives, and do technical demonstrations on stage. I was terrified of speaking, so I took a comedy class to get over the fear, had some beginner's luck, and I left a perfectly good six-figure job with stock options and full benefits for a job that averages $7,000 a year with no health insurance. Needless to say, my parents were quite proud of me. But things have gotten better since then, though. It took 2 years to make my first $5 at a show in New York, but things have gotten better. I got a call from an uncle the other day who wanted to hire me for his event for a bunch of executives on a Wednesday. I'm glad you're getting these, because some crowd are like, what is he talking about? No, but, so I get this call, this uncle, yeah, thank you. There's a great crowd right over here, thank you. This uncle calls, he's like, "Dan, we want to hire you for our event, but we are very, very religious people, very religious, and we don't want any profanities or vulgarities or pelvic movements." I said, "Uncle, I'm not Elvis Presley. We are very religious people. We don't want any profanities or vulgarities or pelvic movements. How much we charge for your show?" "Well, Uncle, my normal fee is usually $5,000 plus air and hotel." $5,000? Are you out of your mind, damn you? We were thinking more like 500 rupees. Pakistani rupees. Which reminds me, I just got back from, I did 6 shows in India in December, one on a yacht, an Indian wedding in the Maldives in January. In February, I did 6 shows in Pakistan. 6 shows, some of the best audiences I've ever had. Yeah, Pakistan, I couldn't believe it. And any Pakistanis here, or? Assalamu alaikum. Okay, alhamdulillah. Yeah. Any Siddars here, Siddar? No, alright. Waidu Juga Khalsa? Yeah, Akwa Satnam City Waidu, yeah. But no, so I was in some of the best shows I've ever had were in Pakistan, and you know that the laughs were legitimate because nobody was drinking, right? Although I do think some of the uncles and aunties were pre-gaming. But I've never seen, I mean, the girls in Pakistan, the most aggressive I've ever seen in any country in the world. They're like emailing me, like, "Can I come visit you?" But that's the good news. The bad news is they all live with their parents. Anyway, so where are my aunties tonight? Aunties, make some noise, aunties! No aunties, right? No, nobody wants to admit they're aunties, am I right? My grandmother, 90 years old, looks like E.T. She's still like, "No, I'm not auntie yet." And where are the uncles? Uncles, make some noise, uncles? Yeah. One uncle, all right. See, uncles are like, "We don't make noise. We make money." But, all right, and so, and where am I forgot to mention I'm half Malayali. Where are the Malayalis tonight? Not that many, but of course I can't see the Malayalis. bright lights in my face. Yeah, no, I love doing shows for Malayalis. I did a show for 5,000 Malayalis. All right, what's going on over here? What's going on? Somebody's kid is being deprived of candy or something? This is I do a lot of Malayali shows, and they have these kids that are running around and screaming, and nobody can hear anything, and I say, why do you bring your kids to these adult events? And they say, well, we are very family orientated. I think the truth is they just don't want to pay for a babysitter. And kids can be brutally honest. I had a kid come up to me after a show, and I could tell he wanted my autograph because he had the paper and the pen, and he comes up and he goes, "Are you famous?" And I wasn't going to lie to him, but I told him the truth. I said, "No, not really." And he goes, "Okay, thank you," and he walks away. That's my 8-year-old kid. But no, I love doing Malayalam. Now, here's the thing. I don't really speak any Malayalam. I'd love to learn. I was forced to go to these Malayali weddings when I was a kid. And, I don't speak any Malayalam. And so there are these 4-hour ceremonies. 4 hours of Malayalam. I have no idea what they're saying. And I'm thinking, what could they possibly be talking about in a 4-hour wedding ceremony? Like, you must put the toilet paper over, not under. You must squeeze the toothpaste only from the bottom. 4 hours, and there's some Hindu weddings that last for a week, which is longer than many American marriages last. I mean, my father was always bragging to me, nobody in India ever gets divorced. Yes, because nobody would want to go through this twice. But I'll tell you, I did learn a very important phrase in Malayalam. I was filming a movie called The Last Airbender with Dev Patel and M. Night Shyamalan, and we had an army of 300 Indian guys, a lot of Malayalis, and one of them taught me a very important phrase in Malayalam, which I've remembered to this day, Ninde molaka padanata vaisa ano, which means, is your daughter 18? Actually, not that appropriate for this competition, I just realized. All right, never mind. Strike that from the ticket. But no, and my father tried to fix me up. You know how your parents will try to fix you up because they want you to marry only someone of your own, race, which is weird because my father married someone who's not Indian, and yet he wanted me to marry a Malayali doctor. I guess because he wanted free medical care the rest of his life. So I get fixed up, I'm like, I do not want to go out with this Malayali doctor. I am absolutely not going out with this Malayali doctor. So I'm going to pick up this Malayali doctor, and I did not go well. The door opens, and I said, "Is your daughter here?" And it was the daughter. Did not go well. But no, I do a lot of, I've done 1,200 Indian events all over the world, 25 countries, 5 continents. I did a show for 4,000 Malayalis in Orlando. Now, when you don't speak Malayalam, 4,000 Malayalis sounds like 4,000 people gargling. And I was on a committee. I was on a panel of Malayalis who've done unusual jobs. I was in the middle, and on my right was Anand John, the famous fashion designer. And on my left was this uncle who was the dean of a local college or something. He really went out on a limb with his career. And they asked us what kind of challenges we face in our unusual jobs. And I said, well, for me, it's getting booked on more shows. Anand John said something about finding underage models or something. And then the uncle says, and I'm not making this up, the uncle actually says, well, when you first come to America, you see a lot of black people and you are afraid. He really said that. And I thought that was highly ironic because being Malayali, You know, he was darker than any black man I've ever met. I mean, I've seen albino Malayalis that are darker than any black man I've ever met. My father is so dark, we have to use flash when we take pictures in bright sunlight. Our camera has three settings for flash: day, night, Malayali. But people are always asking me, you know, your father is from India, your mother is from Japan. Oh, that makes you half Asian, right? Well, what continent do they think India is in? Antarctica? Some American school, they can't even find, 20% of American school children cannot find Earth on a map of Earth. I'm just glad my parents gave me an easy-to-pronounce name like Dan Ninan, instead of some weird combination Indian-Japanese name like Sanjay Hachimoto or Mahatma Mitsubishi. And people say, you know, your dad is from India, your mom is from Japan. Where do they possibly meet? Indiana, duh. They met in Bloomington, Indiana. My father was getting his PhD in nuclear physics. My mother was getting her bachelor's in early childhood development. Obviously, she must have failed. And this is very hard to admit, but this is the honest truth. I was actually born 7 months after my parents were married. Think about it. Yeah. All these years they've been trying to convince me that I was premature. When in fact I think it was my father that was premature. That's the dirtiest joke I have. The one you like the best. No, but as I said, I've been very blessed to travel the world doing what I love, do some acting as well. I just did a voiceover for a show you may have heard of called Family Guy. It's animated Fox. I was oh, thank you, yes. I had a huge role. My character was Angry Indian Man #1. But it'll be coming out, I think, in March. So I'm very blessed. You know, I've done shows in Dubai, 6 or 7 shows in Dubai. Dubai is like India, just on steroids, am I right? And who's the largest group in Dubai? Can anyone tell me? Malayalis, yes, absolutely. Malayalis are the largest group in Malayali power. You know, the taxi drivers there. And I also got to fly over the Gulf to Qatar. I did a show over there. Now, the security was very tight. When I land in Qatar, these guards get me in a room and say, "You're a comedian? You're a comedian, say something funny." And I wanted to say, "You're very good looking." But I decided against that. And I was very nervous. The first joke I could think of was, a horse walks into a bar and the bartender says, "Why the long face?" Get it? What is your day job? So I thought I would show you some of my pictures that I've taken, a little bit of a PowerPoint. You know, no former Intel guy comedy act would be complete without a little PowerPoint, right? So I'd like to show you some of the funny, well, what I think are funny photos which I've taken around the world. So let's start with this first one. Now folks, this is right in my neighborhood in New York City. I live in New York, or Manhattan, as Indians say. Now, this is a trash truck, and on the side it reads, "Don't litter." And I'm thinking, if nobody littered, then these men would not have jobs, right? To me, it sounds as if this sign is a little bit antithetical to their interests. I don't know. I saw a guy actually playing golf on the subway in New York. Golf on the subway. I guess he must have thought he was on the 96th hole or something. Now folks, in New Jersey, they actually have signs on the train that read, next slide please, "Do not board moving train." I mean, do they have a problem with people jumping on moving trains in New Jersey? And then you'll notice that in New York, on the Long Island Railroad, they have the opposite problem. It reads, "Do not get off moving train." Very strange. Now folks, I'm a little bit unusual for a comedian. I don't party or drink or smoke or any of that stuff, never have. The advantage is not drinking, by the way. Because in addition to saving a lot of money, I've also never woken up next to anybody unattractive. Yeah, although I have to admit a number of women have. Okay, nobody got that. All right. So yeah, so when I check in a hotel, I always say, look, please give me the quietest room you have. I want to get to bed early. Give me the quietest room you have. So at the Crown Plaza in Los Angeles, they put me on the quiet zone floor, and notice it reads, "No children, leisure groups, marching bands, or circus animals will be assigned to this area." I'm thinking, wait a minute, I want to be on that floor. That sounds like fun. Right? Do a lot of weddings all over the world. As I mentioned, I did a wedding in Florida between the Peñas and the Werners. Notice the signs everywhere read Peña Werner Weeding. Weeding, yes. Which is very apropos because the groom was a pothead. So. I did a wedding in Honolulu, and now in Honolulu, you know, this wedding was amazing. They had RDB and a soup beer and whatever, and they flew the MC all the way from India, right? And then she had to stop in New York a few days on the way to Hawaii. And being a New Yorker, I asked her, "What do you think of New York?" Right? She goes, "I don't like New York. It's too dirty, too crowded." And she lives in Mumbai. Very strange. So after the wedding, a bunch of us went over to the Big Island, and from the Department of Obvious Signs, we saw this: road closed, surrounded by lava. Yes, I thought that was funny. Now folks, I noticed that in Japan, that bottled water comes in a can. Very strange. I noticed in the back here you have the very generically named US beer, right? Now folks, this next slide I believe is from Johannesburg, South Africa. Now this is at the airport. It says, "We understand traveling can be stressful, but please don't take it out on our staff." I'm thinking, what had to happen for them to print up this sign? It's unbelievable. I was in Durban, South Africa, and I noticed on the beach that they have a sign that reads, "Persons using this pier do so entirely at their own risk." And notice it's from the Parks, Leisure, and Cemeteries Department. Very scary. I don't want to swim on this beach. Now folks, I had some time off. I went to visit Maputo, Mozambique, and I noticed that in Maputo some of the signs are named after Asian dictators. Yeah, I said this, I asked somebody, how do you get to the corner of Kim Il-sung and Mao Zedong Boulevard? They said, turn left at the corner of Hitler and Mussolini Boulevard. This is okay, try this yourself. I was performing in Australia, I was about to perform, so I asked Google Maps, how do you get from Orlando, Florida to Melbourne, Australia? It says, turn right at Northeast North Lake Way, kayak across the Pacific Ocean. Try it. 2,756 miles, I don't know. Maybe their lawyers told them to put that up for liability reasons. In case you're on a kayak going, I knew I should have printed the directions. All right, now, folks, the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda is looking for healthy volunteers who smoke cigarettes. Who smoke cigarettes, healthy, yeah. If you know anyone, have them call this number down here. This is from Delta Sky magazine, the best doctors in New York. This is Dr. Robert M. Bernstein. Notice that his specialty, folks, is hair transplantation. I'm not going to that guy if I have trouble. Now folks, near Atlanta, I found the North Georgia Falcons priority list. Number 1, God. Number 2, family. Number 3, academics. Number 4, athletics. I think number 2 here should have been spelling, what do you think? This is a package that actually came to my apartment in New York. It came in a DHL envelope with a FedEx label, and it arrived by UPS next day air. And I know Obama talks about working together, but that's ridiculous. All right, and you Democrats will appreciate this next one. This is the George Bush Center for Intelligence. Maybe not the joke to do in Texas. Where are the, all right, so by applause, where are the Democrats here? Democrats? Republicans? Independents? Who's voting for Hillary, anyone? Trump? Oh. Wow, amazing. I want Hillary to win only because, I'm sort of like either one, but I want Hillary to win only because I do Bill Clinton impression, and I want Bill to be in the White House for 8 more years, because now, folks, now there's something I want to tell you people. I think it's about time that we have a female president in America, which is why I am throwing my full 100% support behind Carly Fiorina. So, all right, so folks, now, let's see what's next here on the docket. Can you press space, please? Or down arrow? Or enter on the laptop? Or, yeah. Now, folks, there's a taco stand closed in New York due to short staff. Somebody pasted over that, hire taller staff because I need a taco. Only in New York, folks. Now, folks, this is my business card. Now, notice it says, as seen as TED, because I was invited to perform at TED India. Now, when younger folks see that, they go, wow, you spoke at TED? Older folks always say, nice to meet you, Ted. Unbelievable. And for those of you who want my info, now folks, I want to tell you, comedy's been very good to me, and it's led into acting and voiceover and even print modeling, even me, yes, and hosting and whatnot. Now folks, I get a lot of questions from people who are interested in possibly getting into show business, and there is a tremendous tidal wave of opportunity for Indian people to get into show business. It's unbelievable. When I go to agent seminars, they actually say, we are looking for Indian actors. I've been to auditions from Microsoft where they said, you must be union unless you're Indian. Because they're so, I'm serious. When I did that movie, Last Airbender with M. Night Shyamalan and Dev Patel, they were so desperate for Indians for the army, because, where are you going to find 300 unemployed Indian men in Philadelphia? They were willing to give you a SAG card, a union card, eligibility after three days of shooting, which is amazing. So, folks, if you are interested, because there's a tremendous amount of talent in the South Asian community, this is my contact information. That's in front of my business card. And you're welcome to, I'll see you outside, you're welcome to have a card, but if anyone is interested, you can make $100,000 from doing a commercial, one-day shoot. One-day shoot, you can make $100,000 or more dollars. Not all of them, but there's like limitless potential for South Asians. So if anyone is interested, show business is meant to be, and I'd love to help out. I just had a question from a young lady here who wants to do comedy. So it's fantastic. And I know your parents will tell you you have to get a job as a doctor or a lawyer or what else, accountant or IT engineer. And you do have to have a job. I do agree with the parents that you need to have a job to support yourself, but you can work on a show business career in the evening. So if anyone is interested,